Hi, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be going over the problems with floating point precision and how we deal with issues like making sure our financial calculations are accurate across multiple languages and frameworks. If you want to make sure that you're not making this mistake too, then stay tuned. Let's learn together. So here we are in an Xcode project, and I've gone ahead and made a couple of basic values, and then whenever this view appears, we are going to add them together. Now, you would expect that if you add 0.1 to 0.2, that the answer would be 0.3. So let's go ahead and let's run our project in the simulator and see what we actually get. As you can see down here at the bottom, we don't get 0.3, we get 0.3 with a whole lot of zeros and then a 4. Now why is that? That's because in Swift, whenever you define a decimal number up here, it automatically types it as a double by default. Now, if you haven't seen a video from Paul Hudson's daughter on the same topic, she did a great job on covering this exact thing at Try Swift Japan just a few weeks ago. So go check that video out too. How do we fix this in our Swift code? This is obviously not good math, and it's not going to be good for our apps whenever we're trying to make precise and important calculations to be accurate. So we can fix this by using the decimal type. So if we say that this is a decimal and that our value 2 is also a decimal, and then we rerun our app, we can see that we do get, in fact, 0.3, and it is precise. It's not got a whole bunch of extra decimal points and then a 4. Now, the reason for that, again, is because floating point precision of a double is really small, and because of that, it can create inaccuracies in the way that the math is done in our apps. But if you use a decimal, it has a much larger floating point number that it can deal with, and because of that, that is the reason that that is really accurate. Now, that's how we deal with it in Swift. How do we deal with it in something like Kotlin, for example, for our Android development? Let's jump over there and check that out too. So here we are in Android Studio, and I'm just taking the basic project that you get when creating a new Compose project, and I've modified it a little bit to again have our value 1 and our value 2. And this time we're just going to print, whenever this view is displayed, the solution of our value 1 plus value 2. So let's go ahead and let's run our project and see what we get in our terminal, or in Logcat. So in Logcat, as you can see, we get a similar thing to what we get whenever we run this in Swift. This is actually a really big problem that I don't think enough folks know about. And so how do we fix this whenever we're dealing with this kind of math and this kind of error in our Android projects? Well, in Android, they don't have a decimal type. Instead, they have a thing that is called too big decimal. Now, what that does is that takes our double value from Kotlin and it converts it to a larger decimal, one that can handle, again, higher levels of precision. And so now that we've got both of these as big decimal values, let's go ahead and rerun our project one more time. And as we can see, after rerunning it, we get exactly 0.3. Again, not a ton of decimals, not an inaccurate measurement or an inaccurate value. So that is Kotlin and Android, but what about JavaScript, and how do we do math well on the web? Let's jump over to our browser and find out. So here we are in our browser, and if you haven't already subscribed, go ahead and click that subscribe button. And we've got our console open, and so this will allow us to just run whatever JavaScript we want to try to figure out some basic math. So let's go ahead and let's ask it what 0.1 plus 0.2 is. And as you can see, again, we've got that exact same problem. 0.3 with a whole bunch of zeros in between and then a 4 at the end. Now, this isn't great math, and again, it's due to that same floating point issue that we were talking about earlier. So how do we deal with this in JavaScript? How do we deal with this in TypeScript and in React? Well, we do it a little bit differently than we did in Swift and Kotlin. We can say that we want to multiply our 0.1 times 100, and then we want to add that to our 0.2 times 100, and then we will take that whole thing and we will divide that whole thing again by 100. And as you can see, that gives us 0.3. Now, why did we choose 100? Why not 1,000 or 1,000,000? We chose 100 because this will take whatever currency format we're dealing with, because typically we want to be really precise in currency. So we take this and we multiply it by 100 to get all of the cents, for example, in United States, in like our United States dollar format. We can get all the cents over into an integer, so we have a whole integer that we're doing math on instead of a floating point number such as a double type, for example. The integer math seems to be a little more accurate in JavaScript than the floating point math. And so that's why whenever we're dealing with 0.1 and 0.2, we get a value that is not 0.3, but whenever we move this over, so 0.1 times 100 is obviously 10, 0.2 times 100 is 20, so this is saying 10 plus 20 is equal to 30, and then we're dividing 30 by 100, again dealing strictly with integers the whole way through the math, up until this very last step where our output is in fact spit out as the correct 0.3. And with that, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. And if this was helpful for you, let me know in the comments. And if you do leave a comment, just be nice about it. That's all I ask. Thanks. Have a great day.